Hello and welcome to another stadium extravaganza video. This time it's more like one stadium instead of like 4 or 5, but it's like 4 or 5 different versions of one stadium. So I hope you're willing to sit through it and watch it. I'd love your feedback on some of them. I had 2 different versions of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino, and I couldn't decide which one. And it just took me back to trying to figure out how to create this stadium in the first place. And then I realized I didn't have the setup for the 2021 version of this game, so I thought it might be fun just to go back and look at some of the earliest versions of the stadium real quick. I promise I'll go through them fast, and then I'd love your feedback on any and all versions, especially the new one that you'll find in the vault today, if you were so kind as to download it and use it for yourself. So let's dive right in. Okay, so as we're looking at one of the original versions of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino, I should tell you, I've told you this before, but I'm obsessed with baseball stadiums. My whole life, I've been drawing and designing and, thinking of baseball stadiums in my head. I even have pictures from like 5th grade of baseball stadiums with like treadmills or, tracks in the base paths going the opposite way, so it makes runners have a harder time to get to second base. I have stadiums with super high walls where you have to take an elevator to get a ball that landed on top. I mean, why? I don't know, because by the time you get up on an elevator to get the ball, the guy rounded the bases anyway. But I thought they were fun as a kid. And I have more that have progressed through the years. I have like 30 years of baseball stadiums in this notebook. Whenever I had a free moment, whenever I was bored, I would just grab a piece of paper and a pencil and sketch some out. Terrible drawings. I'm by no means an artist, but when I found out we could build our own stadiums and actually use them in the game, I freaking lost my mind. How freaking fun is that? Me and my brother had the Ricky Davis League, a full fictional league, full fictional players. Now that we could rebrand teams, full fictional teams, and now complete with full fictional stadiums. So when I created my own stadium, I knew there had to be quirks. I knew it had to be different, and this is how it started. It looked pretty much like this from early, versions of the stadium, but it wasn't until I added the portals and the spaceship and all that till I decided to make it space themed. I figure I'm the Las Vegas Gamblers. I love poker. That's my second love in life. I'm fascinated by space. I do have a little telescope. And, of course, with the history of Nevada, and rumors are that there's aliens there stored away in a vault in Independence Day with Area 51 and all that stuff, I thought it made sense for maybe there was a casino opening up in Las Vegas. It was going to be space-themed. Then they heard there was going to be a baseball team moving to Las Vegas. So they said, hey, why don't we partner up? We can put a baseball field connected to our casino. People can watch baseball while they gamble. And of course, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, you know that you can gamble pretty much everywhere. There's like slot machines in like their McDonald's. I know there's slot machines in the airport. That's where I kind of came up with turning this into the Moonshot Casino. It used to be just a casino. As you can see, I used to call it the casino. It was like the nickname for the stadium. And I just kind of left that there because I liked how it looked. I figured these buildings sticking out would actually be the casino where there's poker tables in here and you can watch the game. I had the high wall still. I had the shallow down right field and then jetted right back out. Of course, this doesn't look great, so I kind of cleaned that up. I always knew I wanted to have like a deck off the big wall, so I like how this turned out. Of course, I would lower these seats now. It was just a stadium maker rookie back then. The old ancient times of 2021. This is the first concept I kind of came up with. When I first made the stadium, putting this building here, it's a 2-tiered hotel tower, as you can see in that little thumbnail. I wanted to have the luxury seats, kind of connected to it, where the small end of the tower would be. And I loved how that looked, but you can't reach them. I love to be able to hit targets with my home run shots. So that's one of the main things that made me decide to redesign right field into what it pretty much looks like today. Left field, I knew I wanted to have Club 44. Steve Stewart's a left fielder. I got ideas like the Judges Chambers and Yankee Stadium, and Felix Hernandez had like Kings Court in Seattle. So I wanted to have Club 44, Steve Stewart's number, and, a club, because it's Vegas. There's nightclubs in Vegas. But, of course, I had the old crappy signs back then, but no one likes the numbers. I complained about it to my brother. He says, why don't you spell 44 out? And I did from there on. It's a little expensive, but I tend to use monetary terms when it comes to the memory of props in this game. So, things that take up a lot of memory, I call them expensive. I miss this old infield and outfield. I think this outfield is stuck with a crappy infield pattern now. But anyway, I like the idea of having the portals. You hit home runs through the portals. We tell fans the portal is on the moon. So if you hit the ball in that portal, you're hitting a moonshot. And that's why it's the Moonshot Casino. I did use the stupid space colony thing and whatever the hell this thing is just to kind of space it up more. But I figured, the portals are enough. And the rover in each field's home run. Oh, I didn't have one in over here at this time. Oh, okay. I just had the one rover. But you'll see in later versions I added two. Of course, here I had retired numbers, but you couldn't see them all. And, of course, they're not really retired because 12, 33, 50, and 44 are all players that I use now. 42, 21, and 23, those are real baseball players. Jackie Robinson, of course, Paul O'Neill, Don Mattingly, my two favorite baseball players of all time. Here's one of the earlier versions. I got one more to show you before it gets a little bit closer to what it looks like now. There's things I like about this better, things I don't like as much. I couldn't make up my mind whether I liked the field level seating over here and the double-decker over here, kind of underneath. I think I like the other version better, as far as these two anyway. But I think I like this better because I like how the pool fits in here. I guess the upper deck here looks a little bit better. I always thought the UFO was a little cool because you could have like a restaurant or bathrooms or a team store in there. And that might be fun to walk up the ramp and, it's kind of looks like a UFO in there. Club 44, here's the first time I spelled it out. I liked having the luxury suites back here with the strikeout meter on the facing. Of course, Lazy River becomes a standard with the speakers in it. 390, that's a poke. I like the idea of having the home run fence with the windows in it so you could see through and fans on the other side could see, but I don't know. Just a lot of dead space over here, which is why I decided to revamp left field quite a bit. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let's take you to the first major changes of the stadium that actually took place in this version of the game. Okay, so this is the first version with a whole lot of dramatic changes. I couldn't fit this building, this hotel anymore, so I decided to go with this building because it also has the two levels, and I liked how it blended in over here with the luxury seats. So, I mean, this looks fantastic. This might be my favorite version of right field. I had the retired numbers along the wall. I tried to find a new way to highlight them instead of using the reverse or the back end of the Hit It Here circle sign, Hit It Here Cafe. So I highlighted it kind of with those, lights or the section indicator. But this is the first version with the Hit It Here rover. I borrowed this idea from a guy in this version of the game. He had it blended into bricks where he hid the backdrop of the sign. I took it a step further and hid the target too and made the target the rover and the portal. I brought it over to left field as well. Oh, and I didn't have the rover over here yet. But I had a luxury seat over here. I still have the lazy river with the portal right here. Scoreboard in the background, concessions in the background. My center field idea, I always wanted something to be parallel to as close to parallel as possible, to the batter's eye hill. And I went with the roof, the old school roof. I just kind of put these there just for something. I did at one point have the retired numbers up there. I thought the flags looked good there. And I liked the idea of the scoreboard being surrounded by luxury seats. And I, of course, created this building using the old school, or the old hotel that I used in the other stadium, and the Cincinnati building. I believe this building is behind home plate in Cincinnati in real life. But I like the idea of, the upper deck surrounding the scoreboard. I like the green scoreboard. I like the size of the green scoreboard, but I hate that border. It just looks so old. So I hit it with the luxury seats, and I think it turned out pretty cool. And I fell in love with the idea of putting 2 or 3 rows of seats. This is just, of course, luxury seating behind the scoreboard. So I liked how that turned out, but I do have one more version of the stadium before we move on to the next version of the game. Trying to rush this along so you'll stick with me to the end, but here we go, another new version. The right field is pretty much the same. I had these windows sticking out. I thought that looked kind of cool. I mean, this is almost my favorite version of right field at the Moonshot Casino. It looks much cleaner than in some of the versions I have. Of course, I miss having the laser ribbons or the banners, the scoreboard banners, whatever you want to call those. In the outfield, I thought they look really nice in the newer versions of the game. I reduced the number of luxury seats out here in center field, kept the same scoreboard, just lowered it, and instead of having a full row of luxury seating underneath, I just have the one row, and the bottom row is hidden by the scoreboard. And I think it turned out pretty nice. I wish I could have hid that green a little bit more, but in left field, Club 44 became part of a tiki hut thingy, but I just hate the stupid letters. I decided to go with that so I didn't have to spell out 44 and, waste so much memory. But here we have the lazy river, no portal in the middle because I moved it over here. For the hit it here, no rover in there yet. And I moved the retired numbers over here. I think this cool little deck kind of looks nice. That's the last version of this stadium in the very first version of Stadium Creator, and I liked it. You never get to see this in a game, so I felt like that was kind of a waste, but I thought it looked cool. It'd be awesome to have, people up here, leaning against these railings and looking over and watching the game from way up. Maybe there's a little elevator that's kind of like hidden through an optical illusion or something that got you up here, and it could be a restaurant or team store or something. But yeah, I figured this would be the hotel. Maybe this is the casino, or vice versa. Maybe the poker room's up here. But yeah, over here I went with stands in the fans, or stands in the walls. More seating over here in right field. I still wish that I could, bring these right next to the wall and have it, go right down with the home run, the slope. Go right down with the home run fence. I wish they would work on that somehow, because I think that would be fun. I do like having the luxury seats go all around the corner instead of leaving it blank like this. But this is the first time I came up with having luxury seats right along first base and having more, nice seating down here. This stays open for a while, but I finally decided to close this off. Why not have more seats here? This seems kind of a waste. I mean, I guess you could have people hanging out up here, but I don't know. All right, so let's move on to the 2022 version real quick. Okay, so this is one of the earlier editions of the Moonshot Casino in MLB The Show 22. Everything was so far back in the last version of the stadium, so I wanted to move it up by using a different backdrop. But I liked the idea of the hill, and then they came out with that update where we could make our own hill. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to try to make one, behind a regular batter's eye? And I mean, it worked. It looks great, but unfortunately, you couldn't hit anything up there. So I thought it would be cool, though, to have it connected to the second deck. I mean, how many second deck, stadiums do you get to hop over the railing and grab a ball from up here? And I think it looked really cool, so I just kind of stuck with it for a while. Club 44 is over here. I added the pool thanks to the water prop that they gave us. You got the snack shack and the grill over here. The entrance to Club 44 is the gymnasium surrounded by the portal. Wow, I didn't even have a portal up here connected to hit balls into. But I like this version of the stadium. I think it's more realistic as a baseball stadium. It's fairly clean. This is what I went with luxury suites in the right field corner here. Of course, I kept the suites down the line, added the scoreboard, added this restaurant to the space. I wanted to be unique behind home plate, raise the fence way up so you can make the windows with the scoreboard in the background, but I kind of got over that really quick, so I switched that up in the newer version of the stadium. But I guess over here is not very clean. No one wants to watch a game from behind a wall. I mean, what are we, in Fenway Park? I hear that there's seats like right behind like poles and stuff. But ooh, and this is the first One of the first versions with lights. I think it looks pretty good. Oh, it's also the first time I created the upper deck. I always thought it was a waste of time to do these because it never closed, but at the same time, if you're going to be playing in Las Vegas in the middle of the summer, you got to be able to close that roof and turn the AC on, right? So, one thing I never cared for in this game is how the creases show up so much more in the lights. You turn them lights off, you can barely see them. And of course, it doesn't look great over here with... I guess I could just slide them over. Not that anyone's ever going to use this stadium again, but I was pleasantly surprised with how this hill turned out, and I could never recreate it, so I moved the second story of Club 44 over here connected to the hill, and I think it looks pretty good. So, yeah, I think I like right field. I like from here over in the older versions, but I like the roof lower, and I like how the seating curves around better in this, and I like the low fence down here. So I like that better too in this version. So it's tough, you know? I mean, they're all my babies. I love them all the same. All right, one more version from this game, which is the one probably showcased. Okay, I lied a little bit. There are some changes I made since I showcased this video on Studio 44. I added these plants in front of the pool, and I made the Hit It Here deck a little bit bigger, and I added Hit It Here on the other side, so it surrounds the target, or the home run target rover. Club 44 on the second deck, little scoreboard back here, the smokehouse on the second deck. I kind of like the two layers underneath. Kept the same entrance. Got rid of the snack shack and grill signs, though. Right field's pretty much all the same. Didn't touch right field. I loved right field in the stadium. But this was probably the version of the stadium I used the most, that I tinkered with less. You know, once I got it to here. Of course, you know, minus this part and the plants. So, you've already seen this one on Studio 44, so I'm going to move on to the new version of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino. The very first thing I did when I got MLB The Show 23 was pop this bad boy in the PS5 and tried to recreate that version of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino. How tired are you, by the way, of hearing me say the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino? I didn't love how it turned out. There was a lot more, you know, bending in the home run fence, I think, which made it a little bit more unique. In this version, there's pretty much just a straight line. I accidentally went with this high home run wall over here and kind of liked it, so I kept it. I hid pretty much the entire luxury suites, but I think it was to make it easier to be able to be more flexible with the Hit It Here signs. I kept the two Hit It Heres on each side of the portal and the rover. I still have the old brick, which you will see I get rid of later. I have this little niche over here with the scoreboard. This deck goes all the way over here. I changed up to a wall of luxury seats down the third base line. I kept the first base line pretty much the same, just no concession or anything over here. Right field looks pretty much the same, except for I went with just straight luxury seating. And I think it works out well enough. Right field still pretty much looks the same. It's a little shorter of a gap here, so I couldn't fit the one scoreboard over here, so I went with that Las Vegas sign. I always liked this hotel. I loved how you could kind of hide bleachers in here and make it look like people are out on the balcony. From far away, when you're playing a game, it just looks like people, you know, stayed at that hotel and they're watching the game. But again, I mean, there's no real casino. Where would the casino be in this part? In Club 44 someplace? I couldn't use the glowing letters, the neon letters, so I had to go with the blue Club 44. Same thing over here. In the last version of the game, I could use the neon letters above the batter's eye. This time I went with 2 layers of the batter's eye and replaced the brick with this building. I saw this a lot in the last version of the game, so I borrowed that idea. And then when it came to the scoreboard, I doubled up on it, and then for the base, I just used the marble or whatever slab that is, and I think it worked out pretty good. I think it looks really nice. So I kept it, but again, I just wasn't satisfied with this over here. I did like having the plaza level or luxury plaza, whatever you want to call it, and then the upper deck up here with the new laser ribbon. But yeah, something about closing this off and this upper deck being seen when you're hitting, I don't know. One thing I did like is using the new concourse prop, the grass, to make it look like ivy up on the wall. I saw other users do that, and again, I borrowed that idea from them. So I also went with the blue letters and just turned them around to make them look like numbers. Unfortunately, there was no good 4. So once we got to the 400s, I just went with the stupid wooden slab numbers that everyone knows I hate so much. I just wish they'd give us more numbers or put the numbers right on the fence. I mean, look, when you adjust the home run fence, it shows you the distance. Why can't the distance be plastered right on the wall and then just change as you move? And look at this. Let's see if this does this. Right now, I'm messing with the fence, right? But I press circle to change my mind. Nah, I want it back how it was. You can go to revert changes. And I do that, but it still moves my windows. Grr, SDS, grr! That's the first version of the stadium in MLB The Show 23. Here are the drastic changes. Okay, so this is the first round of drastic changes to the Moonshot Casino Stadium. Most noticeable is the Club 44 area, left center field. Very much open compared to the last version. I have the upper deck really, really high, and then everything else is kind of set back. This walkway up here. I don't know why I started out with this set of stands so high, but I kind of, for whatever reason, became in love with the idea of being able to walk through them, through these doors. So I left it and then just put one more like in front of them. This has become my makeshift door when I need some kind of door to get someplace, access to a certain area. Like back here, I have the doors, and these ones are surrounded by portals, and I have the doors. Oh, no, I'm not in this version. Over here, you got the old school looking scoreboard. I mean, the green makes it look old. So this isn't my favorite idea, but it fit. And then right field, another very drastic change with this building. Don't ask me why I chose to stack them the way I did, because, you know, they're clearly not level. The little different layers where you could put people chilling out watching the game. So I just rolled with it. I mean, it was probably an accident how I did it, but I saw someone use these as a roof. And then for whatever reason, I was like, well, what if they're just, you know, making a roof, but kind of just sloping to make it look different, just to kind of make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. And you can't see it as much in this version because of the upper deck, but in the version I'm using now, you can see more of it. And this was the main question. Do I want the upper deck? In the other version, there's no upper deck. So that's the main difference. So we might as well just go over there, and then we'll talk about more of the other changes in that version of the stadium. Okay, you've seen the upper deck version of the newer version of the stadium, but I tend to lean towards not having it, so this is where I did the most tinkering. This is where I've settled. This is what I've uploaded. This is the latest version you'll find in the vault, and of course, if you're still with me, I'd love to hear your feedback, or even better yet, download it. Tinker with it yourself. Let me see what you come up with. To me, there's nothing more flattering than when people find my stadiums that I uploaded and re-upload them, you know, with their own little twists on it. So, yeah, I'd be happy to see what you guys have to say about it. No second deck. I changed Club 44. I added this second layer, reduced Club 44 to one sign in the middle, and I think it looks much better. to have the rover in the middle with the portal, of course. Hit it here on either side still. I also found that I like this marble way better than that brown brick I used a lot. Over in left in foul territory, I got rid of that scoreboard. I don't like the green. I probably could have found a different one, but I kept it simple, kept it cheaper as far as memory. Went with the alien statue in the middle of the pool, which is, of course, the water slide. But you have the team store over here. Got rid of a portal door. Put them up here so you could get to this version of the upper deck, which I'm not 100% sold on, but, you know, if you try to do something that overhangs, it just makes it darker and you can't see in there. So I like how this turns out. Steve Stewart, you know, has hit a few shots up here. I have video that I may share later. But I loved hiding the luxury suites in the wall and then using this, you know, as the roof. And, I mean, it's basically the same windows. So it looks, you know, it's like it's the luxury seating. I have the pool over here still with the steps. The lazy river with the portal, of course, in it. The speakers on either side. And then I kept the layered hills back here. I like how it looks using this as the backdrop, this building. And then back here's a major change from the upper deck version. I found I liked this back end of this weird building. I think this was in the first update from the last version of the game. But if you put them next to each other and stack them on top of each other, you got a nice little pillar display. And, of course, you're going to add a deck to that and have people sitting on the deck. I can go back to having the seats in front of the big scoreboard. And then another big change is I flipped this around. I decided just to use the museum in its, you know, regular appearance instead of, you know, blending two together and using all the quirky stuff. I mean, the Moonshot Casino fits right there. And you can have the little railing here for people to watch the game. I figure this is the poker room, right? Sitting in here, there's 3 stories of casino. The lower story, of course, is for poker. So when you're not in a hand, you can, you know, watch the game that's going on. Of course, you get that pocket pair. You're going to want to focus on the poker game. It blends nicely into the luxury suites, I think. Even this part that sticks out here, the circle, it's kind of cool how it blends into the seats. So I rolled with it. I liked it. So what do you think? Is this the best version of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino? 22, 21 versions. No, come on. There's no 21 versions that are the best. But I want to hear what you have to say. If you happen to want to hear more from me, we have word that our animation is expected to be done on July 8th, which is this Saturday. We're hoping that following Monday, the 10th, we will release the first 3 episodes of our new podcast, Respect the Pick. Myself, my brother, my nephew, just talking all things nerd and pop culture. Star Wars, Marvel, Game of Thrones, movies, TV, songs, whatever. It's a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. We hope you laugh with us or even at us. Be looking for it on YouTube and or wherever else you get your audio podcasts. If you want to watch your stadium showcased on this channel, please leave your user ID and your stadium name in the comments below, and I will get to it ASAP. Thank you again, but please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and hit that notification so you know when new videos are coming out.